What's going on, everybody? Ronnie DiMaggio here, product specialist at BMW of Morristown. And in today's video, we're going to be doing a walk around and overview with this 2023 BMW M5 Competition. So if you pay attention to our channel, you know that we actually did a walk around on a 2022 M5 non-competition, but that video was a while ago. It was a shorter video. It was a non-competition car, so we thought we would revisit the M5 with a competition car, and especially in one that is spec'd out as nicely as this one is. So like in all our walk-arounds, we're going to go over the exterior styling elements, a lot of the performance details being an M car. We'll also check out the trunk and rear seat space, some of those practicality things, and we'll hop in the front seat and check out the cockpit area as well. But being an M car, let's start with what is underneath the hood. So the powertrain is unchanged for the 2023 model year M5. It is still using BMW's 4.4 liter twin turbocharged S68 V8. In competition trim, the S63 makes 617 horsepower, 553 pound-feet of torque. That's a 17 horsepower boost over the non-competition cars. So the non-competition cars just make 600 horsepower and the same amount of torque. And one thing to point out with the 23 model year M5s is very likely the last model year M5 that you'll be able to get that won't be a hybrid of some sort. So we know that the next generation G90 M5 will use the S68 with either a mild hybrid system, or it's looking like maybe a plug-in hybrid system. So this will be the last pure internal combustion model year for the M5, because the F90 does go out of production in the summer of 2023. But anyway, that is the S63. Like all modern BMW V8s, it is the hot V layout, so you have those turbochargers nestled into the V of the engine, which adds throttle response and just helps to decrease turbo lag and makes the M5 feel even more powerful than 617 horsepower, honestly. So it's a super potent powertrain. So that is the engine. It is paired to an 8-speed automatic as the only transmission option, of course. So let's talk about the styling elements. Up front, you can see that everything is bespoke to the M5. There's nothing here that you will get on a regular 5 Series, save for maybe the headlights look similar, but you of course have an M double slat grille with your M5 badge in black with the competition underline. A nice honeycomb style grille in the lower center portion, and then some really, really big, like, gaping air intakes on the side with some auxiliary radiators underneath as well. One thing you'll notice about this M5 is that it has the 50th anniversary emblems, which look really nice. You can opt for a standard emblem on your M car if you would prefer that, but I think the 50th anniversary looks really good. Especially this paint color is called Alvite Grey. It's a $2,000 paint option, or $1,950, somewhere in there. But it looks really, really nice. Hopefully you guys can kind of see it on video in the sunlight. It has a goldish kind of metallic flake to it, similar to champagne quartz, if that's a color that you're familiar with. That was seen on earlier BMW models, but looks really nice. And in the shade, it has like a bluish, almost like a pinkish tint to it. So it's a really, really cool color. But that's the front end. Let's take a look at these wheels. It is a 20-inch optional wheel design wearing a 275 wide tire in the front, and of course behind the wheels you can see a gigantic 6-piston brake caliper painted in red there. And of course, being an M car, it has cross-drilled rotors with that semi-floating 2-piece rotor design to help with heat dissipation. So BMW throws all the engineering gusto that they have at the brakes and whatnot for the M5. Being an M car, the brakes have to be top-notch, and they are. They will haul you down in a quick second here on the M5. Another nice styling element is this little side grille. This has been a signature of the M5 for quite a while now. I believe that started with the E39, but we saw it on the E60, the F10, and now, of course, the F90 as well. On non-competition cars, this will be chrome, but the competition cars have the black M5 badge with competition, of course, which does look really nice, sets it apart again from your regular 5 Series. You do, of course, have an M-winged mirror cap. Another small detail on the M5, and as we walk around, you'll probably notice that the M5 is not quite as aggressively or boldly styled as like the M3 is, for example. The M5 has always kind of been like the gentleman's supercar kind of car. It's really, really massively powerful and fast. But it's got 4 doors, it's comfortable. You can option it with massage seats and really comfortable luxury features. So that ethos kind of plays into the styling as well. It's pretty understated and relatively subdued. Speaking of subdued, maybe classic styling elements, you have the Hofmeister kink here outlining the front edge of the C-pillar, classic BMW design element. And this particular car is not optioned with a moonroof, which is the way to go in the M cars. In my opinion, you have the carbon fiber roof instead, which looks really nice, especially paired to a grayish color like this or with black. Kind of blends in a little bit, but it also adds a little extra something on the roof there if you can go without a moonroof. If we want to take a look at the rear end of the car, back wheels are also a 20 with a 285 wide tire rather than a 275 like in the front. But the rear end, again, pretty subtle. There are plenty of cues to differentiate it from a standard 5 Series. Most of that is going to be in the lower half of the bumper. You can see that the diffuser is unique to the M5. You have your M quad tip exhaust, which of course you're not getting on any other 5 Series model. You have these really nice headlights that were refreshed for the LCI of the F90 generation, and they have a nice, very dark look to them. And of course, your black M5 badge with the competition underline, 50th anniversary badge as well. You'll also notice that unlike the M3, the M5 does share the body, at least like the fender areas, with its series counterpart. So the M5 has not historically gotten a wide body like the M3 does. So the G80 has a really aggressive wide body. That fender really juts out. But the M5 plays a little bit closer to the chest, its performance credentials, you could say, so it's much more subtle. We have seen spy shots of the G90 M5, and it does look like it might be sporting a wide body kit, so that might be changing. But either way, for 23 model M5s, the F90, you don't get the wide body kit. Very subtle car, again, with just those extra little elements to set it apart from the rest of the 5 Series lineup. But that's going to do it for the exterior styling. Why don't we pop the trunk and take a look at what kind of space we have in there, as well as the rear seats. All right, so around back of the M5, let's take a look in the trunk. Like I said, the gentleman's supercar, you have supercar performance and everyday practicality. As you can see, the trunk back here is really surprisingly large. Plenty of space. If this is a 5-seater car, you have plenty of space for 5 people's luggage. I'm sure you could get 4 golf bags in there as well if you wanted to do something like that. So plenty of trunk space. You do have some auxiliary storage over on the sides as well for some knickknacks or things like that. If you want to take a look on the inside of the trunk here on the left, we have a covered storage space for a mobility kit that BMW provides, but you could take that out and store whatever you thought you might need in there as well. So as far as trunk space, you'll never be wanting for trunk space in an M5. Really practical for a sedan. Power closing trunk, of course. If we want to come around to the side of the car, we can check out the rear seat space. So we unbuckle the seatbelt here, and you can see, sitting behind my own driving position, I'm about 5'9". I fit back here plenty comfortably. I have plenty of knee and leg room. My feet have plenty of room as well, and headroom is not at a premium at all. So plenty of space back here, and you do have climate control and 2 USB-Cs as well as a 12-volt power outlet. So you have all of the things that you might need as far as spending some time back here. You do have a fold-down center armrest with 2 cup holders as well. So overall, this is a very comfortable and nice place to be. You can sit 3 across if you want to. It is equipped for that as far as the seatbelts go, but probably would be a little bit of a tight squeeze with this center tunnel. But as far as 2 adults back here goes, it is perfectly doable and comfortable. So plenty practical. Of course, being a 5 Series, it's a very practical car in its base form, and the M5 doesn't change that at all. Plenty practical for 4 adults, even 5 if you needed to. So that is the trunk and the rear seat space. Let's hop up front and talk about what's up there. All right, so here we are on the inside of the 2023 M5 Competition. Really, really nice place to be. Of course, let's start with the driver touch points. So we have these M5 specific seats that are highly adjustable. The bolsters are adjustable. The thigh support is manually extendable as well. The thigh bolsters are not adjustable, but they do come up nice and high, so keep your lower body in place, and you can really have them squeeze you in if you want to. But all of that said, it is a performance oriented seat, but it's also very comfortable. I'm able to sit here comfortably. I could sit here for a long drive and not have any issues. You can option the M5 with massaging front seats if you would like to. This particular car doesn't have it, but it is an optional extra in the M5, as are ventilated seats. Again, this car is lacking that package, but if you want to option ventilated seats, you can certainly do that in your M5. Another touch point is the steering wheel, which is the traditional G chassis M steering wheel, which looks and feels really nice. Really supple leather all around the rim. You have your M tricolor stitching and your M badge down in the center as well. You have your M1 and M2 buttons, which are M specific, and of course your satin silver paddle shifters on the backside of the steering wheel as well. A nice little detail for the M5 is the red start stop button too, which looks really nice and matches the M1 and M2 buttons perfectly. So as far as the ergonomics, they are really nice. Of course, the armrests are at the same height. Like I said, the seats are comfortable. The belt line is a little bit higher than what you would expect on some older cars, but for a modern car, it's not super high, so visibility is perfectly fine, both out the back window and through the two side windows. Out front, the hood does have some undulations and bulges in it for the aesthetics, but doesn't obstruct visibility at all, so perfectly good visibility in the M5. As far as technology in the M5, we are running iDrive 7. The upcoming G chassis or G90 M5 will, I suspect, be running iDrive 8, and that will give you the BMW curved display. But for now, we just have iDrive 7, which is a great system. I like it a lot. We've gotten really familiar with it, and it works really nicely. You do have a fully digital gauge cluster as well, which is customizable using both the BC button, and as we go into the M menu in a minute, you can see that in certain M modes, you can also add in widgets on the left for like tire pressure, so you can get plenty of information there in the gauge cluster. Speaking of some things that are M specific, if you want to look at what is down in the center console, you can see that we have a setup button, an M mode button, and an exhaust button. So these are your buttons that are specific to the M5. A normal 5 Series would have Sport, Comfort, and Eco. In the M5, you have setup and M mode. So I'm going to press setup here, and now we can take a look at the screen, and this is where you can go in to customize your different drive modes and then sync those drive modes to your M1 and M2 button if you would like. So as you customize these things, they do update the car in real time, so it doesn't have to be programmed to an M mode. You can just put your engine in sport and it will go into sport mode as you drive along. So you can go ahead and customize those things and the car will make the adjustments in real time. You'll also notice that M xDrive is grayed out. If I hold down the traction control button and deactivate traction control, I can now go into 4-wheel drive sport, which is a more lenient traction control system in 4-wheel drive, and I can also go into 2-wheel drive mode, which is really cool. So with the M xDrive system, you can go into, let's say, 4-wheel drive sport if you want an aggressive all-wheel drive car, or you can go into full 2-wheel drive mode if you want to do some donuts or burnouts or drift or something like that. You can totally do that in the M5, even though it is all-wheel drive. Being able to switch into 2-wheel drive is a really nice benefit. So turn traction control back on for our purposes and put it in 4-wheel drive. So let's say I wanted to set one of these systems to configurations, I should say, to one of my M1 and M2 buttons. All you have to do is set it up how you want here and then hold down the corresponding button on the steering wheel. So if I wanted this to be M2, I would hold it down until it made a noise and you would be good to go, and that would be your configuration. There is another way to configure M1 and M2 buttons. If we go into car, we'll see M menu here, and we can go in here and configure M1 and M2. So we have our engine, our transmission. So there are a couple options for the transmission. You have D1 through 3 and S1 through 3. D1 through 3 are automatic, so the transmission will shift for you, and then these numbers are rating the aggressiveness, with 1 being least aggressive and 3 being most aggressive. S stands for sequential, with 1 being least aggressive again, and same with 3. So if you want to do the shifting yourself, you would put it in S. And if you want the car to shift for you, you would leave it in one of those D modes. You also have your chassis, which adjusts the damper stiffness, steering weight, the traction control system, as well as the M xDrive. And then you have your start-stop is configurable to your M1 and M2 modes, and my favorite configuration, the sound control. So there's a button down in the center console like you saw, but you can also configure it to your M1 and M2 buttons, or in your setup here. So you have sound control on, which is loud mode for the exhaust, and sound control off. Speaking of the exhaust, why don't you guys take a quick listen to an exhaust clip with the sound control in its loudest setting. So as you just heard there, the exhaust does sound fantastic. Being an M5, those pops and crackles are really shocking to me. Pretty loud and aggressive for a stock car, which is awesome. I'm glad that BMW wasn't too reserved with the exhaust. Sounds really good. As far as interior aesthetics go, the M5 looks really nice. It is one of the older cabins in the BMW lineup, but for the M5, BMW spices it up a little bit and makes it nice. So you can look at the carbon fiber trim that is kind of a silverish look down in the center console here. And you have it spanning across the dashboard as well as the doors, which does look really nice. You can get a dark carbon structure, which will turn this portion of the dashboard black, and it'll make this carbon look darker, which is really nice. You can, so this car has the extended merino leather. You can option it with the full merino leather, which will make these lower portions in the center console the color of the leather. So in this case, it would be Silverstone. So if you want a really color pop interior, you can do that with either white. You have like the smoke white, I believe it's called, is the whiter option, or ivory white. You have Aragon brown, you have Tartufo and things like that. So you can definitely get some color in the interior depending on how you choose to option your M5. You also do have Harman Kardon speakers in here, which sound fantastic. Those are standard on all M5 models as well. So overall, the M5, even in base trim, not that this is a base model car, but even if you add no options, you're getting a really well-equipped car. You're getting heated seats, you're getting a heated steering wheel, you're getting these awesome seats that are specific to the M5. You're getting all the screens and the M setup and stuff. So you really can't option an M5 with like sparse options. There's no stripper spec anymore, as the enthusiasts say. So the M5 is a really well-equipped car, which is awesome to see. But all that stuff said, that is going to do it for the interior of the M5. Let's hop outside and wrap up with our final thoughts. All right, so that is going to do it for this walk around and overview of the 2023 BMW M5 Competition. Hope you guys enjoyed checking out this beautiful M5 as much as we did filming it. So if you have any questions about the M5, please drop them down in a comment below. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you think we deserved it, and follow us on our other social channels at BMW of Morristown on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We're super responsive on all our social media channels, responding to comments, responding to DMs, and things like that. Also, if you have suggestions or requests for future videos, drop those in a comment below. We read through them all. So thank you guys so much for watching this one and tuning in, and we will see you in the next one.